Hello everyone, Nekros is a Warframe that's usually forgotten in the Warframe community, and if some people remember him, they usually just use him for desecrate and giving you extra loot, which is completely amazing. But with this build you can play solo, you can give yourself extra loot if you really want to, and you can basically survive Steel Path among the top Warframes to survive Steel Path. And you might be a Warframe player like me that's kind of gotten boring, or bored of Revenant, and you played him a lot and you really like him, but you want to try out something different. I'm a Warframe player that's been playing for many years, and Nekros is an extremely good option for Steel Path. First of all, it's gonna allow you to slow down enemies, armor strip enemies, give yourself aura damage redirection, and also give you that extra loot that we all want to get. With the perfect weapon setup, you are pretty much set to survive inside a Steel Path without any issues. So without any more delays and without any more dilly-dallying, I'm gonna go first into the actual build of the Warframe itself. Now, how are we gonna mod our Nekros, and if we are, which we are of course, which abilities should we subsume onto Nekros? Well, first of all, starting up with the first ability, which is of course Soul Punch, but we have exchanged it for Gloom. Now, why do I say that this build is going to be on par or somewhere near to Revenant, and if not the only build that you're gonna need inside a Steel Path for Nekros, is, first of all, Gloom. What this is going to do is slow down the enemies, slow down their fire rate as well, and also give you life steal back. So basically you're gonna get some health back from them, which is very, very nice, and you cannot say that's a bad thing. Gloom is an ability that is extremely useful on at least 80% of Warframes in the game, and this ability is a must-have to subsume onto other Warframes because it is incredibly good. The bad side, in quotation marks, is the energy drain. It goes up to 7.5 energy per second, which for some Warframes can be really detrimental, but for a Warframe such as Nekros with two mods such as the Spoil, Equilibrium, it is going to be really, really easy to sustain your energy. Terrify is the second ability, de-aggroing enemies, making them foolishly run around and mostly away from Nekros, and also reducing their armor by 100%. Now, at 167%, you're going to be reducing the enemy armor at 100%. We're at 199, so we're pretty much in the safe zone. We're going to be affecting around 39 targets. Keep in mind that it does scale off a power range as well, but nonetheless, 39 enemies in a really close proximity, even inside a Steel Path, that is incredibly good. They're not going to be running away from you because, of course, Gloom is going to be active. And Desecrate, his third ability, allowing you to get energy and also health orbs from enemies, extra loot, and even more loot if you actually slash the enemies into pieces, which of course we all love and we all want that. With the mod Equilibrium, you're basically going to be getting health from energy and energy from health, so you're pretty much safe and sound in that aspect. So Gloom's, I guess, 7.5 energy per second is not going to be the biggest thing in your life. Shadows of the Dead, his fourth ability. This is what is going to allow you to survive the most. This ability, what this does is, let's say you kill 15 or 16 enemies. Let's say most of them were troopers, and let's say you had a couple of Eximus units, let's say 7 for example. It doesn't matter in which, I guess, order you killed them. It's always going to prioritize the 7 strongest enemies that you have killed. So if you killed 7 troopers and you killed 7 Eximus units, it doesn't matter which one you killed first, the 7 Eximus units will spawn. And that can only be a maximum of 7. This cannot be changed through power strength, range, or duration. It cannot be changed. It's always 7. Now, damage-wise, they're incredibly bad. They're not the best thing in the world. They do scale off of course, the enemy's level, but they're not the best. If they are fighting non-armored units, of course, they are going to be pretty good. Of course, they're going to take priority instead of you, so they're going to be shot at and not you. Also, with this amazing mod called Shield of Shadows, basically what's gonna happen is each shadow within 50 meters will take 6%, in our case 11%, of the damage done to Nekros in his stead. So or I guess instead of him. So basically what this means is they're going to be shooting the enemies, or I guess shooting the shadows, and you're going to have a maximum of 77, I guess, damage redirection, which is very nice. And that's why we don't have adaptation here, because they're not going to be shooting you that much, so adaptation, I guess, really works out. Nonetheless, let's move on to the mods. For power strength, we do have a growing power, blind rage, and of course we don't have anything else actually. For health, we have vitality. For duration, we have prime continuity. For range, stretch, and cunning drift. And we of course do have the despoil mod, which is gonna, I guess, desecrate is not gonna drain our energy, but health, which is very good, and primed flow for that extra energy, and equilibrium we already mentioned. Now, honestly, you could maybe change out a couple of these mods. I personally think Shield of Shadows, Despoil, I would even say Prime Flow and Blind Rage should stay on here alongside Equilibrium. Stretch, you could change out if you do really want to. Vitality for Umbral Vitality, of course, and maybe even combine it with an Umbral mod, but I wouldn't recommend it. We do have Molt Efficiency for extra duration, and of course Arcane Energize, because Arcane Energize is going to be incredibly good, but not necessarily needed. If you want, you can definitely put another Arcane here. It really all depends on you. Now, moving on to the gameplay and how it's going to function. Now that we have covered the build, let's actually cover the weapons and how to use this actual build. So first of all, the weapons that I like using are, for the primary, I use the Fenmore, secondary is going to be the Spore Laser Kit Gun, and the melee weapon of choice is going to be the Nekros Prime. Now, honestly, it doesn't really matter which weapon you bring along with you. Hopefully it's a good one though. You do armor strip enemies, so it's not that big of an issue. Keep in mind that Acolytes are immune to Terrify and are immune from that armor stripping, but if you bring one of these three weapons, you're pretty much gonna be okay. Keep in mind that Nekros doesn't specifically buff any kind of weapon, so it doesn't buff crit weapons like, for example, Hero does. It doesn't really buff melee weapons like some Warframes do, so you're pretty much just free to use whatever you want. Of course, keeping in mind that there will be Acolyte spawning, and of course, I'm guessing you're playing Steel Path for the Steel Essence, so getting a good weapon with you is going to be extremely good. Now, how are you supposed to use the build? First of all, Desecrate would be the best thing to activate right off the bat. Now, Shadows of the Dead cannot be activated unless you kill some enemies, so first of all, of course, kill some enemies. Now, of course, activate Terrify, kill a couple of enemies with Equilibrium and also Arcane Energize. You're gonna be getting enough energy back to actually activate Gloom, and then activate Gloom, and then keep up Terrify, keep armor stripping, and then basically what you're going to do is after that summon your Shadows of the Dead, and you're basically set to last as much as you really want. Now, keep in mind, Shadows of the Dead, they do lose their health over time, so recasting that ability is going to be really good, so try to keep that ability up as much as you possibly can. Luckily enough, the Shadows do actually teleport towards you, so once you move around a little bit, I usually love keeping in one spot because I don't really mind moving around a lot inside of Steel Path, so that's, I guess, just me, but that's a good thing to have on those actual Shadows. And basically that is it. Nekros is not a complicated Warframe, especially if you make him like this. Of course, I do, and I have seen builds where you make him into a nuking Warframe, but honestly, in my opinion, Warframes that are much better for that are going to be Titanium and also using Gauss for actually nuking, because those two Warframes already have those abilities for nuking. Well, I guess Titania has to put Neutron Star on, but nonetheless those are faster Warframes and much easier to use for actually nuking abilities as well. But I have used my second ability, or I guess my second Nekros build, for Null Star and basically just nuking everything around me, but that is of course personally your choice. And this has been my choice and my build. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do leave a like, a comment, and do subscribe for more Warframe content. I have been your lovely host, the Gaming Weasel, and I will see you guys on the next one. This has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.